Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to answer a question. Can we implement a robotic enterprise framework for a linear process? If yes, then how? Next we are going to create a linear process that is going to scrape data from a website. Next we'll convert the official robotics enterprise template to a template which can accommodate the linear process. Next we'll implement the same linear process in the template which we created. Next, we are going to discuss some of the benefits of robotic enterprise framework. So this is the agenda for today's video. Let's get started. Objective here is to create a linear process that will extract the data from amazon.com for the set of laptops. Okay, we quickly go to main.xaml. We take an attach browser activity and point it to the amazon.com. So our Amazon homepage. This is the Amazon homepage. Next, we take and type into activity. So we point it to the search bar. We look for laptops and hit an enter. Okay, next we take an data scraping wizard. We point it to the first element, hit next, second element. Okay, we name the data column as laptops name, hit next. Okay, let's extract the price also. We extract the price, second one. Let's call this column as price, hit next. Okay, this looks good. We are not going to extract for any other page, one page is enough. Okay, so the data is extract data table. To check the output, let's just quickly take a right range and write the extracted output to a sheet called data.xlsx. The data is extract data table is extract data table. Okay, so the objective is just to get the list of laptops and the prices. Let's quickly run the process. The process is executed completely. Let's quickly go back to the folder. Just open the file data.xlsx. Okay, so the data is extracted and this completes our linear process. So now we have just implemented a bot which is able to scrape the data from the Amazon website and is able to dump the data into an Excel sheet. So what do you think? Did we miss anything in the implementation? Let's see. The first one is there is no error handling mechanism. What happens to the bot if there are some error, be it a system exception, business exception? What happens if the Amazon website is down? What happens if the Internet Explorer is not responding? We haven't thought of any of the scenarios. Next, there is no exception logging mechanism. We are not logging the exception anywhere. Third thing, there is no retry mechanism, meaning that if you want to retry the whole process single or just we want to retry only the database data table part, there is no retry mechanism. We are not getting any success or failure notification via email or via any logs that the bot was successful or not. There is no consistency. For example, if tomorrow the Amazon URL changes from amazon.com to amazon1.com, or if you want to change the sheet name from data to, let's say, Amazon laptop data, we have to change the code. And the last thing, there is no system or business exception, so these two are not separate. So these all things we have to implement. Now just think of implementing all these step one by, and how many of the scenarios you have to think of. We have to think of assets, we have to think of the business exception, system exception, retry mechanism and all, right? So it will take a development effort. So what if I tell you that we can implement the same bot in an REFramework? Okay, so this bot is a linear bot. So as we know that REFramework is basically known for the wherever there is a transaction involved, right? So let's see, if I tell you we can use REFramework for this bot, but the question arises how. So going forward in the video, we are going to see how we can use REFramework for a linear process. Now we are clear with our agenda, is that now we have to create a linear Amazon process with the help of robotics enterprise framework that will scrape the data from Amazon. Okay, so let's quickly go to the UiPath studio, click on robotic enterprise framework, name the file as underscore Amazon, hit create. Okay, quickly go to main.xaml. So this is how the main, okay, let me collapse everything. Okay, so this is how the robotic enterprise framework looks like. We have start, initialization, process transaction, get transaction data and all the states. So get transaction data is basically used whenever we are having a repetitive transaction, right? So that's why after get transaction we are getting transaction in get transaction. Then for each and every transaction we go to process transaction, and in the process transaction the actual logic lies, right? So now when we are dealing with a linear framework, we don't require the get transaction, we only worry about the process transaction. So whatever happens in the process transaction, that is called only once. Okay, so all these arrows, so whatever arrows are going from the process transaction, that will now go to the end process. So this is the first step. We connect every arrow which is going from the process transaction and connect it to end process. Okay, so this means that whether there is a system exception, business exception, everything in after process transaction will go to the end state, right? So once the init is successful, that means the initialization of the application is successful, we don't want to go to the get transaction, we directly want to come to the process transaction. So we will just point this arrow to the process transaction like this. Okay, so now we can get rid of the get transaction data. Okay, now let's quickly rearrange. So how it is now, so after initialization, if it is successful, we go to process transaction. If it is there is a system exception, we go to end process. If it is successful, we go to process transaction, and from process transaction, that is going to be executed only once. Now either there is a system exception, business exception, or success, it will go to the end process. Okay, so now just quickly open one by one each of the component and see what all changes we have to make. Start with initialization, we go to the first run. Okay, in the first run we have reading the config. Okay, we want this facility, so since there is no transaction, no queues involved, we delete this one. Okay, we require kill all process, we are not going to add any orchestrator log as of now, so let's delete the log fields also. Rest everything is okay. Okay, so now init all application is this. Okay, now we go to process transaction. So in the process transaction there is a block of finally that is responsible for setting the business transaction status, right? So we delete that one also. We go to main. Okay, so now this is the template ready for to accommodate the Amazon process. Okay, so now that our template is ready, so what we can do is we can see how we can accommodate the simple linear process in this flow and see what are the benefit we get here. Okay, so this is a start. We go by going to initialization. So in the initialization this is the first step, which is called init all application. So the purpose of this is to read the configuration file. Okay, so it is reading the data.config file, and this is reading the two sheets. Okay, we just quickly go to the sheet, we navigate to data. Okay, double click on the config file. Okay, so the first benefit which we get from the REFramework is this configuration file. So now this configuration file can be within the project, or you can keep it outside the project also, that depends on your implementation. So I'll just remove this things as of now. So for our process, if you remember, we just require two things. We just require an Amazon URL. Okay, so this is the Amazon URL, and we just require a Excel name. Okay, and let's say we require data am/6. Okay, so now this is the benefit which we get from REFramework. If in future the URL changes, we don't have to change the process or the bot, we can come to this Excel, update this value for this key, and this will get updated. So this, talking about the config, this is a Excel file that comes with REFramework. This works on the key value pair. So this is the key and this is the value. So when we call this attribute, this object from this key from the REFramework, you will get this value. Okay, so this is the first benefit. In future, if the Excel name, if you want to have the Excel name with something other, you have to just come here and fill this one. Okay, good practice. Give the description. Okay, click on save. Okay, so we are done with init all application. So now this handles everything. Okay, so the next thing is kill all process. So kill all process, we basically give all the applications which we are interacting with. So as of now we are interacting with uh, Excel and Internet Explorer, we just drag a kill process. We go to properties, and in the process name we hit double quotes and write iexplo export.exe. So why are we using kill process? Let's say if you are using hitting the bot and the uh, Internet Explorer is already open, some session is already open, right? So then your bot will crash. So idea of having the kill all process is to get a clean environment for the bot. Okay, so we don't put exe here. So we have specified two kill processes. One is for kill processes of Internet Explorer, and second one is for kill process of Excel. So as you can see, this is the second benefit which we get by using the REFramework. Okay, so you don't have to worry about anything, you just specify the application name and that's it. Okay, so next, this is done. So this is the init all application. In the init all application, we basically initialize all the application that we are going to use. So in our case, we can initialize the Amazon web page. Okay, how can we do that? We just go to open workflow. Okay, it says opening application. Okay, so for us, we'll just go and hit open browser. Okay, we go here, and now the URL. How do the URL? So if you'll see the arguments, the config is already passed as an argument. Okay, so what we can do is we can just quickly write config. We can specify the URL as URL. This was the key dot toString. Okay, and this should open the Internet Explorer with, so how do we know it's Internet Explorer? We can go here and we can check the browser type. Browser type is Internet Explorer. Okay, so this is our open initialization part is completed. Okay, so just quickly go. So in case of any exception, it will be a system exception and it will go to the end process. So in, let's see what happens in the end process. So in the end process, we have a workflow called close all application XAML. So close all application is basically the soft closing of the application. So assume a scenario that you are writing something to the Excel and something happened, right? And now you want to close all the applications which the process has opened. So in our case, it is Internet Explorer. So how do we close the Internet Explorer? So this is a graceful close. So what we'll do is we'll just attach the browser. Okay, assuming the browser would have been already open, exception in the Excel thing. So we just quickly go to Internet Explorer and then we hit here and we go to click, and we'll just take a click activity and point it to the close button of the browser. Okay, so this is a graceful close. Okay, close application. So let's say if there is exception occur in the close application also, right? So you have attached the browser and because of some reason the selector is not valid, possible scenario, right? So what happens then REFramework has also handled the exception for us and it is going to the kill all process. So in the kill all process, irrespective of anything, if you'll go here, you will see that this is the same workflow which we have done to kill I and kill Excel, right? So we are covered from this end also. So as you can see, this is the third benefit which we get in REFramework, that in case your soft closing of the application gets any exception, this is already handled and covered with the help of the kill process. Okay, till now we have seen the initialization part and process. Now if there is any exception in the initialization part, it is going to the end process. We have seen how we can gracefully close the application and kill the process handles the graceful exception also. Now if that is successful, this is the main part where where we write the actual logic. So we just quickly go to process transaction, open the file called process.xaml. So this is the place where we write the actual logic. Okay, we just quickly do the same automation again. We just go and hit open browser. Okay, one thing here, we can again use the same, we can use an input argument here and we can use the attached browser because we have already opened the browser in the initialization part. But for this demo, I'll just quickly go by opening the browser. Next we go take and type into activity, we indicate on Internet Explorer, indicate the search field, we want to look for tops. Okay, and then enter key. Okay, we come here, laptops, laptops, and hit enter. Okay, the next part is the data scraping. Okay, for data scraping, we quickly go to the data scraping. We hit next, select one item, hit next, select another item. Okay, we call this as laptops, hit next. Okay, so now extract the correlated data, we extract the price, hit next, price, we call it price, hit next. Okay, finish. No, okay, we want to extract it for single page only, so this is our extract workflow completed. Now what we want to do is we will quickly write this data to a Excel sheet. Quickly go here, take a right range. Okay, the data table is extract. Okay, extracted data. Okay, so the right range will come inside this because the scope of the extract data table is restricted. Okay, so extract data table. Okay, we quickly type the extract data table. Now the workbook path in our linear workflow, it was fixed, right? But now we can leverage the configuration file and we can use the excel name dot toString, right? So what should happen now is whenever this process is running, we will get an excel. Okay, let's just close this one, and now this completes the process flow. So what we are doing is we are opening the browser, we are taking the URL from the config file, then we are scraping the data the same way we did, but the only difference is we are leveraging the config file to get the excel name also. Okay, so this completes our process.xaml also. Now let's do one thing, let's now quickly try to run this process. Okay, so for the demo purpose, what I'll do is I'll just open a Excel application. So what the process should do is it will start by initialization. Okay, it will go, it will read the configuration file. Okay, then it will kill the process. In our case, it will kill the Excel, it will kill the Internet Explorer, then it will try to open the Internet Explorer again. If everything is successful, okay, init is successful, if any exception occur, it will go to end process, it will try to kill everything. Okay, now if everything is successful, it will go to process transaction. In the process transaction, what we have done is we have read the config file for URL, and then we are scraping the data and storing it in an extract file, right? And this name of the Excel is again coming from the config file. Okay, let's quickly go here and try to run the process. We go and run. Okay, the bot is executing. So now you will see Excel has been closed, Internet Explorer has been closed, it has opened the Amazon website. Now it will type laptops. Okay, so now init was successful because everything is closed, config is read successful. Now it is in the process part, it is now doing the data scraping. Okay, the data scraping is completed, and if you will see, everything is closed now. Okay, so let's now quickly go back to the process, and if I just refresh this one, okay, you will see this guy data dot. Okay, we'll just go here and open the project folder. Okay, so this is data dot, this is created just now. Okay, if I'll just open it, you can see the data is extracted. Okay, so now that we have completed our implementation of a linear process in the robotics enterprise framework, let's see what all features we have leveraged from the RE framework. The first one was the use of configuration file, where with the help of configuration file we put the URL and the file name, and we were able to use the configuration file without doing any code change. Next, we make use of kill process to clean the environment, so it cleaned the environment for us prior to the automation. Next, we made use of open and close application, and in the close application we see that how we can actually gracefully close the application, and RE framework was able to handle the exception in case the applications were not closed gracefully. Next, our business logic was separated. We write every code in the process.xml file, so that separated our business logic. Next, we were able to modularize the code. That means that if there is one other automation where we want the same set of inputs, where we want the website instead of amazon.com, now if you want to open the flipkart.com, then you can use the same excel and you can use the same init part in that piece of code. Some of the mechanism of RE which we didn't use were logging. So we could have logged the error messages in the orchestrator. The failure and success notification were not sent. We can anytime use that. And the next, we haven't implemented any retry mechanism. That very well is equipped with the RE framework. So to know more about RE frameworks, the highlighted in the yellow is the official RE framework link provided by UiPath. I'll put the link in the description. You can visit, and in case of any question, you can reach out to me. So that's it for today's video. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.